Hey everybody, so I'm going to follow up with the chicken and apricot tagine from Morocco. If you wanted to turn this into a vegetarian item, you can omit the chicken, obviously omit the chicken stock. You can use chickpeas, canned chickpeas in its place. Skip that initial browning, obviously. You can also put florets of cauliflower, carrots in there to give it a little bit more substance. So what I have here is all my dry spices. I'm going to put the recipe online. I'll give it to you real quick. It's a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of ginger powder, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of, I'm using smoked paprika. You can use regular paprika if you'd like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just, even though some of those are already ground, the coriander and cumin I crushed, I'm just going to toast these just for about 30 seconds. I don't want to burn them until they're really fragrant. And then I am going to season my chicken with a tablespoon of that and then reserve the rest for the actual dish. Okay, that's good. I don't want to go too much. Okay. So. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and heat up our pan a little more. We're going to add some olive oil, about a tablespoon or so. And then we're going to season our chicken. These are bone-in, skin-on thighs. I trimmed as much of the fat as I could. And then we're going to use some of this spice mix to season our chicken as well. And I can smell all those spices. It's so fragrant right now. Just give that a little bit of flavor. A little bit of black pepper. We have black pepper in the spice mix, so I'm not going to put that much. Okay, you can see that that skin is pretty well trimmed up. Now, normally this would be done in a tagine with a big conical lid. Traps all that moisture in there. The way that lid is, cooks very slowly. Okay, now I'm going to add my chicken and we're going to brown that chicken. I don't want it too high of heat. I don't want to burn my spices. Okay, so we're going to brown that on both sides. It's going to take probably a good 7 to 8 minutes. Okay, everybody, it's been about 7-8 minutes. Got some beautiful color on my chicken. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. You can use chicken legs. You can use skinless, boneless thighs. I wouldn't use breast or anything like that. I'm going to take out just a little bit of the fat. Depends on how much fat is on your chicken. And now I have 1 onion that's sliced very thin. You can dice it also. Like I said, I want that real thin. I want that to really break down in this this tagine. It's really, the technique is very similar to a braise. And I have 4 garlic cloves that are sliced. I think the recipe says mince. I chose to slice it today. If you want to mince it, you can. Okay. Now we're going to let that sweat. It's going to take about 5-7 minutes to get nice and soft. Okay, so my onions are nice and soft. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add these are 3 plum tomatoes chopped. You can also use canned tomatoes if you'd like canned plum tomatoes and then chop them yourself. sometimes you'll see saffron in a tagine. I didn't have any saffron today. All right. Our tomatoes. We're going to add our spices, the rest of our spices. Okay. We're going to add our lemon zest. Now, traditionally, they would use preserved lemons. And again, I don't have any preserved lemons. You can make them. They take about a month. But you can also buy them at some Middle Eastern markets. Okay, that was my honey. Now, in this one, I'm using buckwheat honey. I love the flavor. It's nice and deep. You can use any honey you have at home. Add a little more salt. Now, I have my apricots that I've soaked. I just cut them in half. I didn't dice them. That's going to add some nice sweetness to this. And then I have my golden raisins, and I'm adding some dried figs. You can also add some dried dates. Would be really good in this. Give it that nice sweetness. Now, I am going to add the sliced olives. This is 1/3 of a cup of sliced olives, green olives. I'll add that later. That's optional. And then I'm going to add some of the olive juice to this, about 1 ounce of the olive juice, to give you that nice saltiness and a little bit of tartness. Okay. All right. Okay, now we're going to add, this is chicken stock. If you don't have chicken stock, you can use water. Chicken stock is going to give you a lot more flavor. And now we're going to bring this to a boil, and I'm going to put this in an oven at about 400 degrees, but I'm not going to cover this. I'm going to leave it uncovered. And right now, I'm going to put it skin side down. And in about 20 minutes, when I add my olives, I'm going to turn it skin side up and then let that skin get nice and crisp again. That's a step you don't have to do, but I want to do that. All right, we'll just kind of nestle that in there. And then we're going to put this uncovered in the oven. And that liquid will reduce a little bit, almost like a tagine, where some of that liquid cooks down and reduces. Normally it's cooked on a burner, so I don't want to trap all that juice in there. I want that to reduce a little bit. Okay, I'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, everybody, it's been about 20 minutes. Those are some of the figs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this chicken. I'm going to nestle that in there. And I'm going to sprinkle my olives. Okay. Now, if this starts to reduce a little too much, you can just press a little foil on top, okay? But I still got a lot of liquid in there. And in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna come back and just kind of press some of these things down back inside that liquid. Now, we're gonna cook this until the chicken is tender. It's probably gonna take another 30 minutes. Okay, so it's been another 15 minutes, and you can see now the skin is starting to get crispy again. Oop, I forgot one. And all these vegetables and fruits are doing good. I just don't want them to burn. So we'll push that back in, but you can see also how that liquid is starting to evaporate and really concentrate those flavors, okay? So we're gonna put that back in at least another 15 minutes, maybe 20. Okay, so again, it's been about another 15. I'm just going to take some of this juice, just kind of baste this chicken with it. Normally, with that conical lid, you get all that steam and then it falls back down on top of that chicken. But this is doing nice. So chicken's almost ready. I just don't want it to dry out. And the liquid is evaporating. Normally this would be served over couscous. Most of the couscous you see on the market is it's instant. That's already been pre-cooked and dried. But normally they would cook it in a couscousière, which is kind of a vessel that it would steam the couscous. First, you would steam it over water or over the liquid boiling, the stew, and then you would break it up with your hands. But it would take normally about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll be back. Okay, everybody. I think our chicken is ready. Glasses are folded up. So, this is nice. Skin is nice and it's crisp again. And this, see how that liquid kind of evaporated? All right, so that is done. You want to make sure that the chicken is, obviously it's cooked, but if we're braising, you want it to be tender, okay? And you should be able to just kind of gently pull it off the bone and see how nice that comes apart, but it doesn't fall apart, all right? So our chicken is done. We're gonna plate it. Okay, so I have my carrot salad. That was from yesterday, and it tastes so much better today. Has a chance to marinate overnight. Now the tagine, we're gonna sprinkle. This is just some really rough chop cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can omit that. You can also use mint. Mint would be really great with this, but I already have mint in the carrot salad, so I didn't want to duplicate. And spread that around. I'm going to grab some of that onion and tomato and vegetable mixture. And like I said, normally this would be served on a bed of couscous. You can also serve this with rice. Even saffron rice would be great, or just some plain white rice. And nice piece of our chicken. Let's get some of a little bit more of our sauce and our fruits. So you have that wonderful sweet, kind of sour with some of that lemon zest and some of the olive juice and all those fragrant spices. So you got a lot of delicious things going on. And I have my naan from yesterday. I just threw that back in the oven, and I'm going to serve that with my tagine for tonight. Okay? Have a great night, everybody. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it was out of the picture, but there it is.